Good morning and welcome to UPN Focus. I'm your host, Milt Thompson. And you know, if you live around for more than a couple decades in this community, you've probably had your life impacted by someone with the ravages of cancer. We're going to have a discussion today with a couple guests about the American Cancer Society. And they've got a big event coming up here in October. And in fact, it's Breast Cancer Month here in October. We'll do with our special guest. We've got Tomeka Gibson. Tomeka, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
And you're the project coordinator for patient services at the American Cancer Society. Is that correct? Okay. Well, we want to find out about what you do and how we get into that. And our other special guest is Nicole Anderson. Nicole, you are an outreach specialist, and particularly relative to breast cancer. Is that right?
In the minority and underserved population.
So you've got very, very specific kind of job titles and people with whom you are actually trying to drive services to. The American Cancer Society, I've seen that nice, beautiful building up on the northwest side of Indianapolis. How long has the American Cancer Society been around? What is it for? What does it do? Who does it help? And who's going to talk about that? I know that you can probably do that, Tomeka.
Well, right now our local office is located on 6030 West 62nd Street. We just relocated. The American Cancer Society has been in Central Indiana, well before I started, and we've had several locations. This is our newest location. As you said, I work in patient services, and we provide services for cancer patients and their families. We have numerous programs. We have housing, we have transportation, medical supplies, durable medical equipment, prosthesis, wigs for women going through chemo treatment, just numerous and various.
So does the society provide direct services to patients, or are you kind of a conduit or an organization that matches people up to other service providers?
Well, we do that. If we get situations where we're not able to meet someone's needs, we do try to make referrals. But for the most part, we do service most of the patients and families that do call in that meet the needs of the things that we have.
Well, you know, when you hear of that dreaded word, when if you go to the doctor for a regular checkup, and you know, and I want to talk to you and your family, and the dread just comes over one with fear by hearing that word cancer. There's been a lot of work, I know, in the last several years at trying to mitigate the fear factor so that people access themselves of services. What kind of role does American Cancer Society play with respect to information?
Well, one of the things that we focus on at the American Cancer Society is to, first of all, we're a voluntary health organization, the only one in the country as large as we are. And our focus is to make sure that people are aware of the facts about cancer, things they can do to either prevent it or to help alleviate some of the stress that they feel if they're diagnosed with cancer. Basically, what we like to let people know is that in 2000, a diagnosis of cancer is no longer a death sentence. There once was a time when people that were diagnosed with cancer, you know, they felt that was it, this is the end. But with new medical treatment and advances, cancer is very survivable now, and the importance is early detection. That's the most important thing in saving someone's life is early detection. So we try to do that through awareness, education, advocacy. Like within the patient services program, women that are diagnosed with breast cancer, we have a program called Reach to Recovery. And basically we match women up with their cohort, meaning like even someone within the same age range if possible, who has been diagnosed with cancer and has already gone through the treatment process. And isn't it like 2 years they have to be a cancer survivor?
Oh, just 1 year post-op. They can become a volunteer with the Reach to Recovery program.
1 year post-op, and we match these women up with these other women sort of as a support so that they don't feel they're alone, that they know there's someone else that's been through the same thing that they're going through. Because a lot of times family members really can't understand what a person is going through. Only another person that's been diagnosed with the disease, who's gone through the treatment, who's gone through the same steps that this person is about to go through.
As you say, at one time when you heard the word cancer was kind of thought of as a death sentence. and it didn't really care what type of cancer it was. It just the ability, once it's detected, to either treat it or cure it was almost not heard of. Now, with obviously the modern technological advances, medical advances, that there are better survivability rates with various types of cancers. But what are still some of the warning signs if we are concerned about our health that we start looking at when you say that early detection is important?
Well, what I do is when I go out into the community, my focus is on breast and cervical cancer, particularly, like I said, within the minority and underserved population within central Indiana. And that's Marion County and the 7 contiguous counties around it. That is our focus, is central Indiana. Currently, breast cancer affects, or 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. The thing is that if it's detected early enough, breast cancer is 97% survivable. That's why I go out and do education, do presentations to women to let them know that early detection, meaning getting a mammogram every year starting at the age of 40, doing your clinical breast examinations with a physician at least once every 3 years, and performing your monthly breast self-examination. So those are the 3 key components to detecting breast cancer early enough. Like I said, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and if it's detected early enough, it's 97% survivable. A lot of women think that if they go into the physician, that if they find something, that it's automatically going to be cancerous, when in fact 80% of lumps found in the breast are non-cancerous to begin with. So we try to alleviate some of that fear factor that women have when it comes to the breast cancer issue. It's the second leading causing death within women, and it's the second leading cause of death. Let me back up. It's the second leading cancer-causing death within women. It's the second leading cause of death in African American women total.
So obviously your outreach is in terms of education and being sure that people have the information, but does the society do anything relative to gaining access? You're talking about patient services, about getting access to treatment. What if someone is uninsured or they're afraid? They don't have a personal physician. They may be in a subclass in terms of economic wherewithal. What kind of encouragement does the society do to get those people to look at actual treatment versus that of just information about a disease?
I don't just go out and tell people, you need to go get a mammogram. We have a program called Screenings for Life that is funded through the Centers for Disease Control. What it does is we offer women that qualify financially free mammography screenings. All they need to do is call 1-800-ACS-2345 to find out about getting one of those free mammograms. And we have different locations within the area that provides free screenings to the women.
Is there some historical reason or hereditary reason why certain kind of cancers attack certain segments of the society? You'd mentioned African American women have a higher incidence of breast cancer.
Actually, we have a lower incidence rate. Our incidence rate is not as high. We die from it more often, but we don't develop it as often as our Caucasian counterparts. There is no known reason specifically what causes breast cancer. There have been genes that have been identified that cause the breast cancer, but they don't know what actually triggers those genes to mutate and to actually develop breast cancer. But it's just very important that we get the message out about the early detection, I guess, because since we don't know what causes it and we don't, of course, good diet, proper exercise, all those things are important to being healthy to begin with. But for certain cancers, for instance, colon cancer, if people are going in to get their regular exams, that's almost, if they find it in its polyp stages, it can be removed and it may never develop into cancer.
So clearly, education, information about it, and then understanding where it is you can get access to services is really, really critical to ultimate treatment. We're going to talk about that and others, more specifically, what goes on with Breast Cancer Month here in October, right after these important messages. Welcome back to UPN Focus. We've been talking about the American Cancer Society with two of my good friends here. We've got Tomeka Gibson, who's the project coordinator for patient services at the American Cancer Society, and of course Nicole Anderson, who's an outreach specialist, primarily in the minority community with respect to breast cancer. And I think there's probably going to be a promotion in your future coming along, and it's covering all cancers now.
On all of them.
That's a real ecumenical approach to the treatment of cancer. More seriously, though, the month of October is set aside as a special month to talk specifically and bring to our communities awareness, the purge and the problem and the difficulty with respect to those diagnosed with breast cancer. What special initiatives as the American Cancer Society, I know primarily through some of your outreach activities, how are we trying to highlight the problem of breast cancer and early detection?
Well, in celebration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we are hosting our 3rd annual Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. It's going to be held October 14th downtown at Military Park. Registration starts around 8:30 a.m. and the walk starts promptly at 10 a.m. This is a walk to raise money for breast cancer. All of the money goes towards breast cancer research or local programs here, such as patient services, things like that. The Road to Recovery. It's primarily voluntary, but some of the funds do go towards local. The majority of the funds, I should say, stay right here in Central Indiana for the women of Central Indiana and programs and things like that.
Tomeka, patient services sounds like that covers a whole gamut of operations, and earlier on you started listing all the various kinds of programs that people would be needing. If, in terms of our education and educating our community about once they have been diagnosed, and say they have been diagnosed relatively early with some sort of cancer, and today why don't we just kind of focus on breast cancer. Someone is diagnosed. Where does the American Cancer Society intervene? Where do you come in after the diagnosis and a doctor says go to the American Cancer Society?
Well, a lot of the referrals and people that I talk with are individuals who need transportation. That's a really demanded service within Central Indiana. And one of the programs we do have is Road to Recovery, which is a voluntary-based transportation program. We have volunteers that will donate their time, their vehicles, their gas to take individuals to their treatments, which is essential for a cancer patient. Again, you have a lot of individuals that are elderly or who just don't have the funds or the resources for transportation, so we do provide that. Also, like I said before, in lieu of breast cancer patients, women who have had breasts removed and who are wanting prosthesis, we do have those available, which are free of cost for individuals who want to come in. We don't base it on anything. It's just that if you are in need of it, you can just stop by and make an appointment. We could provide that. We have wigs for women who may go through chemo and who lose their hair, and we love our hair. So we have wigs that have been donated to us through various stores such as JCPenney, Merrill Norman.
So almost any kind of ancillary service to direct treatment that you might be receiving from your care physician, that you can help them in moving their lives on and forward towards survivorship, if you will. And I expect a lot of your volunteers may have become fond or been having their lives affected by cancer themselves or someone in their family.
I would say probably about 80% of our volunteers have either had someone who have had cancer or they have had cancer themselves, and we have helped them out, and in turn they want to volunteer to give back, and it's a really great program. And then also too, we provide housing for individuals who may not be on the best end of cancer and loved ones want to come down and visit. We do have housing at Hope Lodge, which is located right off of 86th Street. It's free housing, as well as with the Westin Hotel. The Westin Hotel will provide complimentary rooms for patients' families that come down and need housing. So if they're available and they're not sold out, we could get a room for a family.
You know, in the past, if you heard of a family and someone is a victim or suffering from cancer, that financially it just devastates, it could devastate a family, it could knock out a savings. I'm not certain about the insurability of certain kinds of cancers with respect to where they work and what kind of opportunities they have to avail themselves of these services. And you're saying so many times here that the American Cancer Society, part of its role is to provide these services essentially at low or no cost or nominal costs. That means that you've got to get your money from someplace. How does the society raise its money? Is it part of some national network of organizations, or do you get grant money, or do you have membership fees or user fees? How do you raise your money?
Go ahead.
A little bit of everything that you just mentioned. Things like the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, fundraisers. We have our Relay for Life, which is a 24-hour walk that we do every year in the summertime. We raise money that way. We have donations made by people that have been assisted by the American Cancer Society. Some people leave us in their wills. They leave us money that way. Some people put us in their stock options. It's really people driven, people that care about the mission, who care about fighting breast cancer. We do get some grant fundings that we apply for, like if we have a special program that we want to initiate, we may simply apply for a grant through different organizations that way. But the majority of our money comes from the people that take their time and come out and sit on a track for 24 hours a day with us. In the rain, this past summer, it rained on so many people, but they were there because they were concerned and they cared. They had a cause and they were mission driven. Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, like I said, that's a big fundraiser that we have, and it goes to the local offices. And it's to support the women in central Indiana. It's not sent off to the West Coast somewhere, because we have our offices in the West Coast that raise their money for the women there, and we do it for the women here in central Indiana. So primarily it's through fundraising, through the people.
Sometimes when you're afraid, you ignore the facts and you turn your head. What would you tell to we people who get scared of things like this, that there may be more help available than they may have going through their really afraid kind of minds?
One of the things that I tell women that when I go out and talk to them is that cancer is no longer a death sentence. It's not a dirty word anymore that's kept hush-hush and swept under the rug. It's no longer a death sentence. And early detection, proactive care, and being very forthright with your own health and making sure that you want to remain healthy is where it's at. But basically it boils down to cancer is no longer a death sentence. It's scary, yes it is, it's very scary, but it doesn't automatically mean you're going to die. That's my primary focus when I talk to women, because a lot of women have myths that they think, you know, if they tell me I have breast cancer, well then I'm going to die. Some women think if they get a mammogram that well, mammograms cause cancer. So these are things that I'm faced with, that I have to kind of break down these myths and barriers that women or people have in general about cancer.
So do you think the access to information has anything to do with social status, class, economic wherewithal, or are these services available to any and everybody who might avail themselves of them?
The patient services is available to anyone. We don't, if you make $1 million a year and you still want to come in and you need some assistance, you need a support group, we're there for anybody. Any financial, socioeconomical, ethnic background, we're there for the people.
That means on October 14th, everybody's going to have an opportunity to participate.
Everybody to come down.
We're going to talk about that right after this important work. We're going to talk just about that, how to get you involved on October 14th for this wonderful walk down at Military Park. We'll be right back. Welcome back to UPN Focus. We're talking with Tomeka Gibson and with Nicole Anderson from the American Cancer Society. And we've gotten a lot of important information. I think the most important of which is that just because there may be a diagnosis of cancer doesn't mean, like it did years ago, that you're going to die. In fact, that there are a lot of proactive things you can do with early detection to be sure that you can avail yourselves of the numerous services that are offered by the American Cancer Society. There's a lot of ways that people can participate, and you said there's a strong participation rate amongst those who are either been affected or impacted by someone having cancer, either in their family or a relationship, or themselves being a survivor of cancer. October 14th is this Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. It is a walkathon. Tell people, how can you participate? How do you get involved? How you can actually walk or get pledges, or where you can get pledge sheets. Tell us how you get involved on the 14th.
Well, like you said, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer is on October 14th. Downtown at Military Park. Registration starts at 8:30 a.m. and it's a 5K walk. The walk starts at 10 a.m. Anyone can come down and participate and walk with us. Pledge sheets are available.
Our distribution centers, CVS, Walgreens, Meijer, different grocery stores and different drugstores you can find pledge sheets, or you can give us a call at 347-6670 and we'd be happy to send you some.
Yeah, and another thing is some people who are unable to actually participate and come down and walk, some will just send donations. We have survivors that are designated. Do they wear the yellow T-shirts?
Their T-shirts will be distinctive. I'm not quite sure. I believe it's yellow.
I think they wear yellow T-shirts. So we have a survivorship sort of like ceremony that kind of takes place as well. You can just come down and we'll have pledge sheets available day of if you want to bring money down that way, or if you just want to come and walk with us. If you don't want to donate a single dime, even though we want to raise money for the fight, you can just come out and participate and walk with us.
I'm certain the psychology of the fellowship, of the people working together, has a great deal to do with this, that this can not only be a rewarding experience, but can also be a fun experience, sharing the war stories or the battle stories or how I actually survived cancer.
And it raises awareness. People that have never thought twice about breast cancer, they may have never been affected by it in any way, shape, or form, but to see last year was approximately 4,100 walkers, and just to see all those people take off and everybody's there for the same reason, for the same cause, it's pretty amazing. So this year we want more people down there to come and participate with us.
And you're going to try to raise a record amount of money with your walk this year.
Of course. Last year we raised approximately $211,000 towards breast cancer research and local programs and things like that. So hopefully we'll double that number this year.
Well, we're going to go for record numbers out of Military Park at 8:30 a.m. Out of Military Park.
Saturday, October 14th.
Saturday, October 14th. That's one wonderful event, and right now you're going to take a look at a few others on our calendar for this week.
Here are some events in our area for you to focus on. Looking for something to do today? How about heading to Dietrich Park in Middletown for the Fall Creek Festival? Over 40 booths full of crafts, demonstrations, and food for you to enjoy. Also, take a look at the classic cars that will be on display. The festival is today from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Next weekend, take part of the Arcadia Apple Fest from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be lots of fun activities all day long. Come see apple butter making, apple cider making, craft booths, and live entertainment. For more information, call the Trinity United Methodist Church at 317-984-5896. And all month long, Waterman's Farm Market is having their Fall Harvest Festival. Activities include hay rides, cornfield maze, cornstalk teepee, and acres of pumpkins for you to choose that perfect jack-o'-lantern from. There will also be live entertainment on the weekends. We'd like to hear from you. Send your event information 3 weeks in advance to be part of the UPN 23 community calendar.
And I know you'll take advantage of those wonderful calendar opportunities for your community service, in addition to walking in, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer on October 14th. I want to thank our very, very special guests. We've got Tomeka Gibson, Project Coordinator for Patient Services at American Cancer Society, and of course, Nicole Anderson, Outpatient Outreach Specialist at American Cancer Society. You come back same time next week. We'll see you.